observations from Bengals practice in Cincinnati come down to three C's. Easy for me to say. The first one is confidence, a confidence bordering on fearlessness. I actually overheard cornerback Mike Hilton say to another teammate at practice, "We're going to win the AFC." Joe Burrow was the one who said after that thrilling Titans win, he is sick and tired of this underdog narrative, and guess what? His teammates are listening to him. The second C is cold, absolutely frigid here, temperatures in the teens, but guess what? The Bengals were practicing outside at Paul Brown Stadium. That 45-degree weather in Kansas City that's expected this weekend, it's going to feel downright tropical. And the last C here is cacophony. At one point, a security guard apologized to me for the noise. The Bengals are trying to simulate the crowd noise at practice. They're certainly getting ready for it and expect to hear it at Arrowhead this coming weekend. There was plenty of noise. It was deafening, and that's the word that you are getting from me, cacophony. Laura, back over to you.
That's a great word. In fact, I'm not sure that we may have to do a little definition for some people up here on the set. I'm talking about Dan Orlovsky. Thanks to both of you, Michelle and Jeremy, for the latest on both sides of this AFC Championship game. And the Bengals have to protect Joe Burrow, right, if he's going to find his favorite target, Jamar Chase. The Chiefs have a huge edge in the trenches here. Kansas City's pass rush ranks 7th in win rate this year and posted its best rate of the season in the first matchup between these teams. Meanwhile, Cincinnati has the 3rd worst pass protection by that metric. So, Dan, when you consider all of that, what should be the Chiefs' defensive game plan against the Bengals and Joe Burrow this week?
It should start with Jamar Chase, candidly. And the thought should be to never single up Jamar Chase one-on-one, ever, the whole game.
Just don't do it.
I'm being serious. And really, it's even a focus point. And Key knows a lot about this when he's soloed up, one-on-one. He's the X receiver. Last game, 4 for 4 for 90 yards and a touchdown in that situation. He actually led the NFL at 600 yards this season when he was the single receiver by himself. So start there. Don't do it. Number 2, you got to dominate the stunts in games from a defensive line standpoint. We saw this Bengals offensive line really struggle last week, and it started with their ability to pass up some of those games and stunts from defensive linemen. Marcus, you know this. You got this left side of the offensive line, and this is going to be what's known as really a TE. The tackle goes first, and then the defensive end loops around inside. So Simmons creates pressure upfield, and then Landry comes and finishes it off, and Joe Burrow is running for his life. The left side of that offensive line really struggles with that. That should be a focus point for their defensive line, Kansas City. Know who you're not defensively. You cannot match up Kansas City with this Cincinnati pass game skill position-wise. Make Joe Mixon beat you. Make Joe Mixon have 25, 30 carries for 150, 160 yards, and for that offense to be patient and methodical handling the football off. And then in those gotta-have-it situations, you can't just say we're going to be who we are. Gotta-have-it is like those third downs, those red zone situations. Last time you saw, it was 7-man protection, you played 0 pressure, and you couldn't stop it. Last week, they did the same thing, Cincinnati against the Titans. 7-man protection, mirrored routes, meaning both guys on each side of the ball. The outside receiver, Jamar Chase, and Higgins, they're going to run the same route, and there's going to be a slot option. That's who Cincinnati is in those gotta-have-it, high-stress, crucial situations. You can't play into their hands all-out pressure. It's not going to get home.
I like you putting a defensive game plan together, man.
Oh, yeah, usually it's you doing it.
Thank you, man. What's your offensive plan? You got one?
No, I don't have one.
Later.
Listen, for me, Dio, coming off of what you just said, tackle. Like sometimes the simplicity of football, man. Sometimes it's just simple things that you look at the film, and we all have, that if we would have did this, we would have had a chance to win the game. We saw it last week with Josh Allen. A couple scrambles, he got out, and they weren't able to close and finish the deal. Even in the Cincinnati game earlier this year, tackling was a huge issue. They were free home on some blitzes. They had Jamar Chase with a hitch that ended up going for like 66 yards. So ultimately, you cannot allow the yards after catch, all right? But when you got Joe Burrow on a 0 pressure and a free hitter to him, get him on the ground.
Yeah.
Don't allow him to make that a 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 2. That's going to be huge in this game. They struggle with it with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do.
They
struggle with it with Cincinnati as well. So they got to get that part of it fixed.
They got to get the secondary fixed. And Coach Spags has to do a better job of helping them do that. He puts them in bad situations. When Kansas City changed their defensive scheme and went more to cover 2, things changed for them. They were not getting lit up. All of a sudden in this particular game in Buffalo, late in the game, they decided they were going to play a little bit of man-to-man. They were going to play a lot of zone in terms of cover 3. And he set Mike Hughes up for failure. Yeah, Mike Hughes, they ran that route on him. He tripped and fell. But if you don't ever put him in that position and you protect him, and I know Honey Badger was missing in that game, which is the quarterback of the secondary, you have a better chance of stopping somebody. And much like you say, don't single up Chase.
Don't, right?
But you can do cover 2 man.
Yeah.
Have some people, some help over the top. You can also at times just play straight up 2 and keep your eyes in front so you see what's there.
Right.
And if he does that, they'll be fine.
How important is it for Matthew to play in this game?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, from a communication standpoint alone.
He's the quarterback.
But also he's their best blitzer out of the secondary as well. And something you just said, bro, Chase, Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
This will be something that the Cincinnati Bengals try to hone in on. Even if it's not Jamar Chase, they will try to find that one guy that can wreck the game because two teams have.
You look at Mike Hughes falling down right there. That's more to me. Spags putting him in that spot on 4th and 13.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Right.
No. You do not do that.
I'm just telling you, if Tyrann Mathieu doesn't play and Sorensen has to be the starting safety, go back and watch the tape.
Different.
I'm not trying to be a jerk,
different
but
world.
it's the truth.
No, it's the truth. And especially at this point with only 4 teams left, that's the type of truth that you need to know. On the other side of this matchup, of course, is the Bengals. A big question, is Joe Burrow intimidated by how loud Arrowhead can get? You heard Mahomes talking about it. Here's what Burrow said.
Nah.
You know, in the SEC, every single week, it seems like that, you know, every stadium is really loud. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of people. You know, this one is going to be similar. You know, we expect it to be really loud. We're talking about it throughout the week. You know, we're going to have to be great with our communication, our nonverbal communication.
One of my best stories ever. Les Miles told me I couldn't play receiver when I was coming out of high school. So, you know, that was something I had on my shoulders growing up. Les Miles told me I thought I could play cornerback. I wasn't really in full position at receiver yet. So, you know, I just kept working in my craft off season, waking up early in the mornings to work out.
Oh, goodness. Listen, I think he probably would have been a pretty good corner, too.
Your Les Miles told him that?
No,
Ain't got nothing to do with that, boss.
Damn, Marcus.
I played for Nick Saban.
Marcus.
It's true.
LSU, they did the same thing to Marshall Faulk. Told him to play DB. What happened?
What is
They tried to
LSU?
get Dak Prescott to play fullback.
What is going on with that?
Come on, man, do better.
Not lying, bro.
Yeah,
better.
hey,
Hey, the coach I played for figured out to change me from tight end to DN, made a whole lot of damn
But
money.
you still
worked
tell
out
everybody how great a
pretty
tight
well.
end you were.
I do.
He was.
I do.
And a really good
Short.
basketball player,
Short
too.
tight end.
All right, listen, we got a lot more content with us here on NFL Live. We now have 9 head coaching changes. That's the most from one year to the start of the next since 2009 season. They had 11 new head coaches, including interims given the full-time job. Apparently, Dan Orlovsky wants one of them, as he just said.
Director of personnel.
Stop it. Let's get into some quick reads brought to you by Discover. And for that, we bring in Adam Schefter. Take us through some of the head coach and GM changes happening in the NFL. Let's start with yesterday's breaking news of Sean Payton stepping down.
Well, after his 90-plus minute press conference in which everyone got king cakes to eat, a thank you gift for coming to the press conference, the Saints now are saying goodbye to Sean Payton, who meant so much to that franchise, and they will start their search elsewhere. Sean Payton basically did not make it obvious that he'd be coaching this year. He wouldn't rule out returning to coaching, but he certainly didn't make it sound like it'll be this year. The Saints are left to look for candidates, look for Dennis Allen and for Aaron Glenn to be considered in their head coaching search. Jacksonville Jaguars looking for their next head coach. There were reports out there that Byron Leftwich is finalizing a deal. Byron Leftwich and the Jaguars haven't even begun negotiating a deal. They're still talking to Leftwich. They're still talking to Matty Eberflus. They're still talking to Nathaniel Hackett. Byron Leftwich very well may turn out to be the Jaguars coach, but they are still going through the process right now. And the Vikings today hired a new general manager from the Cleveland Browns front office. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah takes over as the new general manager in Minnesota, comes with a Princeton background. Mina approves of the hire, which has to mean something here as well. Very smart individual. And we also have a situation we should watch the defensive coordinator position in Baltimore. It looks like the Baltimore Ravens could be targeting the Michigan defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, who previously worked in Baltimore before, Laura.
Ooh, really interesting.
I ain't getting there.
Hey, Shefty's got it all figured out. He knows everything that's going on. Marcus, checking on your guy. All right, let's read and react with fresh sound across the league. Joe Shane was introduced as the Giants' new GM. He was asked about his thoughts on starting quarterback Daniel Jones.
Smile, Joe.
And the kid has physical ability. You know, he's got arm strength, he's athletic, he can run. So I'm really excited to work with Daniel. And again, when the new staff gets in here, we'll build an offense around Daniel to accentuate what he does best.
We've done everything possible to screw this kid up since he's been here. We are certainly not giving up on him.
All right, so Dan, who's the right coach for Daniel Jones?
Well, my mind immediately goes to a guy like Brian Daboll. Now, I want to be clear. I love the fact that Mr. Mara came out and just clarified this. Like, we're not moving on from Daniel Jones, whether you like it or not. The second thing is the coach that they hire has to be somebody that gets him to get rid of the thing that has been his flaw since coming out of school. Panicking with the football that leads to turnovers that kill your football team. It reminds me a little bit of the Jets situation with Sam Darnold last year. It's a huge year for when it comes to the long-term choice of Daniel Jones. I just don't think they're built to support him. The coach needs to be more about Daniel Jones. It has to be about the whole organization, but it's a huge task to get him to play as good as he can.
Lots of questions surrounding the Bucs after their loss to the Rams last weekend. High among them, the future of tight end Rob Gronkowski. Rob was asked by TMZ, if you got to decide right now, right this second, if you're playing next year, what would he say? Here's what he said.
I would say no right now. It's 2 days after the season. I'd be like, no, I'm not playing. Like way too soon. But like, you got to give it some time. You got to rest. I would say to see how everything goes. You know, how everything plays out. How I feel. I mean, I just want to heal completely. See where my thoughts are from there. Then.
So, Key, Gronk not the only question mark on the roster. Whose return concerns you most?
Coach Leftwich. When you think about Brian Leftwich potentially getting a head coaching job in Jacksonville, you take a key ingredient away from that Super Bowl winning football team. And what if Tom Brady decides to come back? Now he has an offensive coordinator he's not familiar with, a guy that he doesn't know. He was with Byron Leftwich for 2 years. So it's a big concern for the Bucs moving forward.
Last offseason, the rumors were swirling around Aaron Rodgers' future in Green Bay. Now those questions return, right? Rodgers joined the Pat McAfee show to shut down some speculation.
One thing I would not do, 100% would not do, is retire and then, come back a year later. I feel like I'm at the place relationally with the Packers, in a really good place, especially with Brian, where it would be a simple conversation. I understand that my decision does impact a number of other people's decisions, and I want to be very sensitive to that. And so I will definitely make a decision sooner.
McAfee was like, you going to tell us?
Yeah,
Marcus, you like what Rodgers is saying this time around?
I never thought I'd see the day when I sit in this chair and I love what Aaron Rodgers said. There's been a lot of stuff that I've hated, but this one I love because he's thinking about other guys that have to make a decision, and obviously Devontae being at the forefront of that and the rapport that they have. But even with the franchise and the organization saying, I won't string this along and make a quick decision, a pointed decision to let them know what they are doing and how they will move forward. Shout out to Aaron for me and him agreeing one time.
There you go. Can't wait to find out what it is. Hey, we last saw Antonio Brown running off the field during the Bucs Week 17 matchup. See him right there at MetLife Stadium. He joined HBO Real Sports last night to address the Bucs' reaction.
Yeah, these guys at Tampa Bay Bucs try to make an agreement with me to give me $200,000 to go to the crazy house so these guys could look like they know what they're talking about.
The offer was Antonio would basically sit on the sidelines, go on some list, and commit himself to some form of intensive mental health treatment. And we were specifically told in writing by the general manager twice, don't spin this any other way.
Adam, what more do we need to know here?
Well, it sounds like Antonio Brown's got some lawsuits coming against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He even referred last night on Real Sports to the fact that he would file a defamation lawsuit against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so he said he believes that there's going to be a whole lot of money coming his way, and we'll see how much money is a whole lot of money, but Antonio Brown thinks it's going to be enough for quite some time right now.
Very interesting stuff. We'll keep our eye on that and much more. We got a lot more coming your way still here on NFL Live. The Rams host the 40.
Coming to Lambeau on our field and our weather. We got to go out and execute one more time.
And the Packers strike first. The 49er offense have looked broken. They block the punt. Take it into the end zone. We're tied at 10.
To kick the 49ers to the NFC title game.
has kicked the 49ers to victory here in Green Bay.
Some of the stuff we've went through this year, I think that's kind of what's made us who we are, and that's why we're still standing.
The 49ers have won 6 straight games against the Rams dating back to 2019, owning nearly a 10-minute advantage in time of possession battle on average. They've also doubled up the Rams in yards gained after contact, including a 254-95 advantage this year. Wow. Here's Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy G today on preparing for the Rams.
You know each other so well, so it's, when, we hadn't played Dallas for a while, so it takes a little longer to get a feel for the tape, and whatever you watch, just as eventually you get through the week, you're going to feel different because you soak a team in more, and you can't do that in 1 or 2 days. It takes all week. But when you're going against a team like us going against the Rams, so them versus us, there's not much to soak in. We knew what the tape was going to look like before we turned it on.
You always go back and watch the prior games. That's kind of where it starts, and then you kind of just take it from there, the games that they've played recently. There's a lot of football that they've played throughout this whole season, so you don't want to bog yourself down and be too overwhelmed with all the stuff. So, we know these guys as well as possible, playing for a third time now. Nothing will really surprise us, I wouldn't say.
All right, so we'll get to the game in a second, but Adam, what more can you tell us on some of the injuries to the 49ers, starting with tight end George Kittle?
Well, we saw him limp off the field in Lambeau Field Saturday night. That was the last we saw of him, Laura. But the fact of the matter is he's not even on the injury report for Sunday's NFC Championship game. So he is good to go, and he will be out there despite the fact that he didn't look great on Saturday night against the Green Bay Packers, and the 49ers will need him. And not only will they have George Kittle out there, but they also will have their wide receiver Deebo Samuel, who also is not listed on the injury report. In fact, Kyle Shanahan said today that Deebo told him, Kyle, I got you. And if Kyle means that Deebo's got him, then that means that they'll be in good shape come Sunday. Deebo will be out there. Trent Williams did not practice today, but he told Kyle Shanahan that he believes that he'll be out there and ready to go manning that left tackle position, which will be huge for the 49ers. There's not a better offensive tackle in the league than Trent Williams.
Man, that's enormous. I know, right? That may change how a lot of people end up looking at the game. All right, so you mentioned Deebo Samuel. A healthy Deebo Samuel goes a long way on Sunday. Since he began splitting time at running back in Week 10, the 49ers averaged 6.4 yards per play with him on the field, 5 with him off. So, guys, that's essentially the difference between the best offense in the league and the Jets. Isn't that crazy? Okay, Marcus, as good as Deebo's been, though, you still have concerns about this 49ers offense. Why is that?
First of all, Kyle, you ain't had to bring the Cowboy game up.
I know, you're still stuck on that. That happened like 2 minutes ago. You're still on it.
Listen, I think this is the one where Jimmy G won't be able to play from that comfort and kind of that cushy seat because of the offense around him. And I think one of the catalysts for this will be George Kittle. We saw Gronk start to get some windows and find some openings against this Rams defense when they were facing Tampa Bay. I expect the same. Kittle had a huge drop in the game. Jimmy made some good throws in the Green Bay game that turned out to be bad. But ultimately, I think you're tight end. You call in all stars, right? You know Deebo is going to get the ball a number of different ways, but Kittle will be that middle of the field worker. He'll be the guy when you get a one-on-one matchup that you expect him to win. And think about the pass rush from the Rams. Kittle is great run after catch. Get the ball in his hands. I think he's going to have to be huge in this particular game because for as much as I respect the 49ers run game, this game was 17-0 week 18. Yeah. And they took their foot off the gas. The Rams did.
Absolutely.
So he's going to have to be big. And I expect if the 49ers win, I'll make a prediction. George Kittle will have the most receiving yards.
Kittle in the middle. Key. Do you trust Jimmy G?
Do I trust Jimmy G? I'm going to have to trust Jimmy G in this particular football game.
Yeah.
It's like Marcus said, 17-0. Took the foot off the pedal. When you look at what the Rams want to do offensively, they didn't bring Matthew Stafford in. See how I did that?
We got it.
To just manage the football game. They brought him in to score points, to put points on the board, to throw the football, not just hand it off. So when you get behind and you San Francisco, you can't approach it where Jimmy G was 16-25, 0 touchdowns, interception against Dallas, and then you move forward to the Green Bay game, 11-19, $131. That's not going to get it done. You're going to have to match Matthew Stafford for Matthew Stafford if you're Kyle Shanahan. And I think Kyle knows that because this offense is not a vertical offense. It's a somewhat of a West Coast gadget style. They don't have the home run threats on the offensive side of the ball, so everything is condensed. But they're going to have to unleash it if they plan on winning this football game.
Yeah.
Ain't that right, Dan Matt?
Let me make a comment very clearly. Jimmy G ain't Matthew Stafford, okay? They can't go punch for punch.
But she asked me, do I trust it? I have to trust it.
Here's my thing with Jimmy G.
That's the only way I'm going to win the game.
Jimmy G is like a boat to me. Like, people tell me how it works. It just doesn't make sense to my brain.
Oh, like sitting on the water without.
Yeah, how is that big giant thing not?
No doubt.
And that's the same with Jimmy G. I hear the conversation all week about, well, Jimmy G, they win with Jimmy G.
They do.
But here's my thing, Key. Jimmy Garoppolo is 9-2 in the regular season when he doesn't throw a touchdown pass.
So don't throw what?
He's 3-0 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
When he doesn't throw a touchdown pass. I want to say 3-0 in the playoffs? I just watched Josh Allen throw for 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns and lose.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo is a guy that the 49ers win a lot of games with, but that's not who he is in the playoffs. They win games in the playoffs in spite of him. And I sit here and I think, we got to ask ourselves honestly, is Jimmy Garoppolo going to lead this team or be a part of this team that wins 2 NFC championships in 3 years and not throw a touchdown pass in those games?
But that's okay.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, there's no way.
If you make, Dan, and you played the position, if you make 2 or 3 throws that matter, as long as you connect them, like you said, he made a couple good throws. As long as you do that, that's all that matters.
But Keith, you know this, that style is so dependent on everything being so perfect. The 3 that were dropped in the first half against Green Bay, the Rams got to drop them again.
And ultimately, I don't think
it was perfect though.
But to Dan's point, Keith, ultimately, I don't even think they end if Stafford don't throw them 2 picks in the second half of that game, Week 18.
Correct.
I don't think the 49ers.
But in all honesty, though, we can say the same thing. The Rams aren't in if everybody blitz in the 0 and they hit Stafford.
Hold on, let me
point to that.
But here's the thing. What I'm trying to say is,
it goes back to that. It's not necessarily Jimmy G's fault, but either way, you're not seeing an elevation necessarily at the quarterback spot.
They're not winning
like
playoff
you would
games
see other ways
because of Jimmy G or with Jimmy G. They're winning playoff games in spite of him.
Do you trust him? If you need to, you have to, because you're forced to.
Let me throw this out there, too. Jimmy Garoppolo, different Rams teams, right? But he was 6-0 in his career against the Rams. He's not beaten any other team more than 3 times.
In the second half of that Rams
game.
No.
All right. Our Chiefs Executive Director of Player Personnel, Ryan Poles, as their new GM. Poles has spent his last 13 seasons in Kansas City, but has some history with the Bears already. He signed as an undrafted free agent with them in 2008. So what will Bears GM Ryan Poles be inheriting in Chicago? Well, the Bears do not own a first-round pick in April's NFL draft after trading it to the Giants to select Justin Fields, 11th overall in last April's draft. Chicago is projected to have just under $30 million in cap space. Let's get Adam and Key back in here. And Adam, Bears have their GM, right? So what's next on the head coaching search?
Well, they've got interviews being conducted today. Dan Quinn, the Cowboys defensive coordinator, is in for an interview with the new general manager, Ryan Poles, as is the Colts defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus. This comes one day after the former Colts and Lions head coach Jim Caldwell was in the building with Ryan Poles on the day he was hired. And so it certainly looks like right now Caldwell, Quinn, and Eberflus are the 3 finalists for the job. And Ryan Poles, this is his first day on the job. We saw him getting out of his car early this morning, according to the Bears Twitter account, awfully early in -8-degree temperatures. Ooh. So he was at work early to get ready for his head coaching interviews. It'll be one of these 3 individuals, and obviously they all bring different credentials to the table.
Adam and Laura, this is a perfect situation for Jim Caldwell, a young quarterback. They need to restore some order in Chicago. If they were to hire him, they're hiring an experienced head football coach. He took the Indianapolis Colts to the Super Bowl. They lost to Drew Brees. He has 2 Super Bowl rings, one with Joe Flacco as the offensive coordinator of the Ravens, and the other one as assistant head coach on Tony Dungy's staff in Indianapolis. So they know what they're getting. He's 67 years old, but that's okay. He has a lot of football left in him. If it was me, I wouldn't look no further than Coach Caldwell because you're getting an experienced guy.
We saw so many flashes of greatness from Justin Fields when he's had opportunities in his first season in the NFL. His development so paramount, so important for this Bears franchise going forward. Let's get to another really important thing heading into this week of games. O-line, D-line,
Album dropping.
Wait, I feel like I see some nose hairs.
We here. Hold on, D-line. Let's go. We here. I kept my face longer than you. Okay, big matchups. We hop in. We got the playoffs. We got championship weekend. We hit the money last week.
Let's go.
All right, where we start? Number 5, we're going to start with your cat. Chris Jones versus Quentin Spain. I'm going to put him back there. We saw Spain struggle last week. Chris Jones, a big matchup
Dan,
inside.
this was one we pointed out with Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Hartree.
For sure.
And they almost got it done except for the brilliance of Joe Burrow. Now Chris Jones' chance to come up. This team I talked about earlier, they have to tackle. 95 will have to put his stamp on this game for Kansas City to advance to the Super Bowl, and he's seen some stuff on tape he liked. I'm
Week
just
17,
being honest.
2 sacks, 5 pressures against this same team. Okay, number 4, we're going to go Von Miller versus Tom Compton, the right tackle for the 49ers. When Von Miller and Aaron Donald, the guy that we're going to talk about a little bit later this year, when they rush the quarterback together, quarterbacks have a 2.3 QBR this postseason.
Yeah, that's good.
That's not good.
That's not good. Listen, we talk about Von Miller and his ability to rush the passer. We saw him get the sack fumble from Tom Brady. But this is big in the run game, Dan, because we know what the 49ers want to do. And one of the unsung things about Von, plays the run really well.
So dominant.
Yes, sir.
All right, number 3, we're going to go to Nick Bosa versus Rob Havenstein, the right tackle for the Los Angeles Rams. Bosa, we were just talking, like quietly a dominant season.
15 and a half sacks,
Would never thought
53 pressures.
Right.
He is playing out of his mind, and obviously it was concerned when they lost him against Dallas, came back last week against Green Bay. But when you think about Bosa in the playoffs, I still can't get it out of my head. This guy was trending towards being the MVP of the Super Bowl
2 years ago,
had it not been for Patrick Mahomes.
All right, number 2, again, I want to put an offensive guy up there. I want to put you a big Lakin up there, big strong Lakin, but I can't. I got to put 99.
Nope.
Big Lakin Tomlinson going to go there. Big 99, Aaron Donald, right guard versus 99.
Yeah, pass rush situation.
Left guard.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
We just talked about it. Key brought it up. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to make plays in this game. That means Aaron Donald will have his opportunities. You have to earn the right to rush the passer against the San Francisco 49ers. Aaron Donald, you take care of the run, you may be able to get some work, big dog.
Aaron Donald has rushed the quarterback against the 49ers 50 times this year. 0 sacks. That blows my mind. This team does not win games when he doesn't sack the quarterback. Okay, number 1, we are going to put Mina's son, Mina's brother, Mina who's ever, Trey Hendrickson versus Orlando Brown Jr. When they played 2 weeks ago, Orlando Brown wasn't in the game, but this cat ruined the football game in the second half.
Buddy, listen, he has been a tear in the rush game. And when you think about where he was in New Orleans is when Mina told us about him. He's been everything the Cincinnati Bengals have needed him to be. And Dan, listen, I'm about to make something controversial, okay? I think this game has the potential to get out of hand if this guy doesn't wreck the game.
Ooh. You think this game gets out of hand in Cincinnati for not good?
I believe they have a chance. I believe the Kansas City Chiefs have a chance to get this game out of hand if Trey Hendrickson name is not called a lot.
Don't get
Orlando
so
Brown,
close.
You better show up.
Don't get so
Album
close.
dropping next January.
Hey, get close though, Spears. There we go. Oh, you guys.
Moments.
Stafford has it. Big throw. Cooper Kupp all alone. Touchdown. LA. You leaving with a frown. Me, I'm leaving with the crown. How you like me now? Welcome to the main event. Down behind the gun. Fires back shoulder throw. Caught by Odell Beckham Jr.
Steal somebody's soul.
Deep down the right side. He's got Kupp running down the hash marks. He reels it in.
It's a whole lot more fun when you got to make a play like that to win the game.
Los Angeles will host the NFC Championship game.
We got you covered for this weekend's conference championships, and we've got reports from both teams in the NFC. Coley Harvey is with the 49ers. Lindsey Theory is with the Rams. We begin with Coley. What's the latest that we need to know?
Laura, the health of Trent Williams' ankle remains a big question mark for the 49ers this week, but it's clear the veteran left tackle is already convincing his head coach that he's going to play in this game. Said Kyle Shanahan this afternoon, in Trent Williams' mind, there's no way he's not playing. He believes he'll go, and so do I. Williams was in attendance at practice this afternoon, although he did not formally participate. Also in attendance, but listed as full practice participants, were quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo and receiver Deebo Samuel. As for Samuel, Shanahan did mention this afternoon an increased risk injury to putting the ball in Samuel's hands so frequently during the season. But as he noted, We're happy with where Debo has led us this year, and Debo is happy with where he's led this team. For more in LA, let's take it down to our Rams reporter, Lindsay Theory.
Coley, the Rams have lost 6 straight to the Niners, 2 of those with Matthew Stafford at quarterback. Stafford says their division rival is playing really good football at the moment, adding that the Niners are physical, tough, and find ways to win. When asked why they haven't been able to get a W against the Niners recently, Coach Sean McVay said the simple answer: they're a really good team. Good news for the Rams on the injury front. McVay says that left tackle Andrew Whitworth is recovering from knee and ankle injuries, and that safety Taylor Rapp is working his way through concussion protocol. Both should be available Sunday. Laura?
Thanks to Lindsay and Coley for all of the information. The Rams have been showing more versatility with their offense this postseason. Matthew Stafford needed to throw only 17 passes in the wild card round against the Cardinals, his fewest attempts in any win of his career. He made them count, though. In the divisional playoffs, Stafford let it fly, throwing for 366 yards, his most with the Rams. Both approaches worked, and that's best exemplified by their first half offense. The Rams have outscored opponents 41-3 in the first half this postseason. So, Dan, what's the key for Stafford this week to keep up that success?
Yeah, playing against the zone defense in the 49ers, he's got to do 2 things well. Use his eyes to help guys get open, and then read the leverage or body language of defenders. This clip is the perfect example. Now, this is going to be a play-action pass last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're going to get a fake to the left, and then the route concept is this. Van Jefferson, clear out this corner. Perfect. And then OBJ is going to have a double move, corner, post, and then Cooper Kupp's really going to be the guy who gets it on the deep crosser. I want everyone to pay attention to one person on the defense, Devin White, and then the space. Really remember that as you watch this play happen. Beautiful play fake. He's going to come out, hit Cooper Kupp for a huge chunk. But the back angle shows Stafford using his eyes to help Cooper Kupp come open. You're going to get that motion. There goes Van Jefferson. Now, here's Devin White, okay? When this fake happens, I want everyone to pay attention to Devin White's body language. Right now, Devin White is going hard, right? I gave you that space before at the bottom of the screen. I said pay attention to that. Devin White is trying to go there because there's nothing in the offense that is holding him. But Stafford has come out, and he is staring to the left purposefully to get Devin White, and all he's trying to do is get him to go sideways. He wants him to go press this way and then get vertical. Watch what happens. Devin White is going to press, and then there, he has gone vertical. He no longer is going this way, and what you're going to get is Cooper Kupp to come open on that deep crosser strictly because of what Stafford did to his defender. Now, Cooper Kupp is going to go in the motion, and you're really going to get this bubble, right? This bubble concept. Van Jefferson is going to be a clear out, and then OBJ is going to come, fake block, and then go down the sideline. Again, we're seeing this defender, Sean Murphy Bunting. Stafford is going to get the ball, and he's going to be staring to his left. Right now, he's just peeking this way, saying, hey, guys, I'm going to throw this ball to Cooper Kupp. Now, look at Murphy Bunting's shoulders. They are parallel with the line of scrimmage. If they were facing inside, he could play either that bubble or get deep enough. But Stafford realizes, because of his body language, that he cannot get deep enough if Odell gets behind him. Right now, he's going to let that ball go. His shoulders are still somewhat square to the line of scrimmage. He cannot get deep enough. That ball goes over his head. Stafford's got a really good feel for that. So, playing against this 49ers zone defense, he's going to have to use his eyes to open up some windows in the pass game. And then he just does a good feel. He has a great understanding of how guys' body language. Yeah, you might be in a certain location on the field. That doesn't mean that you can get to where I'm going to throw that football.
Yeah, we've talked about that too, D. And obviously Sean McVay doing a phenomenal job of keeping Matthew Stafford in structure.
Yes.
Right? And then understanding that at times Matt will have to make plays outside of that. But what he's done with the addition of Cam Akers and OBJ and opening up this offense, making it more multiple. We were screaming about stop throwing 40, 50 passes a game.
Yeah.
And it all boils down to getting the ball into these type of playmakers' hands. I think Cam Akers obviously has added a different type of juice than Sony Michel. It's a good 1-2 back punch now. But Stafford is playing from such a comfort level. Yeah. He's allowed time to move those linebackers that, like you just illustrated.
Yep.
And then this is another point. There are 2 number 1 receivers on this team. And these defensive coordinators, DeMeco Ryans obviously going to have his job cut out for him because you have to figure out who's going to hurt me more.
Can't do the same thing you did last week.
Exactly. And you don't figure that out until the game gets going.
Right.
Until you figure out what Sean McVay and how he wants to use these guys. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, in this particular offense you mentioned, too, there's actually 4. Believe it or not. If you think about the 3 wide receivers, and you got to add Jefferson in there, OBJ and Cooper Kupp, but you slide Higbee in there too. And you may not get all the targets, right? They may be, you get 6, you get 2, you get 3, but at times that matter. And I think that's the most important thing for Matthew Stafford. What's gotten him in trouble in the past, he started forcing things unnecessarily, and I think it's slowed down for him now. I'm looking forward to him having a great game because I want to see this damn fool over here go crazy. He told me he gonna run around the studio at Seaport when he come on. Naked.
No. He's not being naked. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, you're going to
please.
Okay.
Yeah, family show.
Then that's not actually naked.
Speedos, that's right.
By the way, naked and naked are different, too. So that's a whole totally different thing. Baby. All right, let's just move on from that before we get ourselves in trouble. Time for one more thing. Kansas City fans have used their team's overtime win as a reason to give back to Buffalo. Chiefs Kingdom started sending donations in $13 increments in honor of the 13-second drive to tie the game to the Oshai Children's Hospital, the hospital which received donations last year from Bills Mafia in honor of quarterback Josh Allen's grandmother, Patricia. Earlier today, the hospital gave this update, an incredible $178,000 from over 9,800 donors has just been donated in over 24 hours from Chiefs Kingdom. Thank you all. What an incredible gesture of giving from one fan base to another. We absolutely love to see that, and Oshai Children's Hospital does incredible work. So just wonderful to see Chiefs fans doing that.
Was that the Children's Hospital that initially had the relationship with Josh?
Yes, and donated donations were given in honor of Josh's grandmother. All right, we're getting closer and closer to NFC Championship and AFC Championship. We'll see you tomorrow.
Get to like, subscribe, and share all of our channels. Check us out. Hey, tell us what you think about it. Are we hitting it on the nail on the head or are we not? Please leave a comment. Let us know. Tell us how the flow is. But don't forget, this is your boy MC D-Rex, and I'm out. Peace.